Right then, what we're going to look at in this particular video clip is how to set the scene for the controls lesson. Okay, so we're going to go through the personal greeting, the clarification of the lesson, and the plan of action for the controls lesson. Now, the controls lesson is quite a lengthy one actually, because you've got to go through how to enter and leave the car safely, the cockpit drill, and also the main foot and hand controls. So it's not just the controls, there's quite an awful lot that goes along with that. So the examiner will set his scene, so he'll give you the information and he'll tell you what you're doing for that particular day basically. So when you're at the test centre and you sign the form or the test report form, you'll know what particular lesson you're doing anyway. So it gives you a bit of a heads up. But as you walk to the car, the examiner will tell you where to sit, because on the controls lesson and on moving off and stopping, you will sit in the driver's seat because you're going to drive away. And then on every other lesson from there, you'll sit in the passenger seat. Okay, so PST1 and 2, you're going to be sitting in the driver's seat, and PST3 to 10, you'll be sitting in the passenger seat. Okay, so the examiner will tell you that as you walk to the car. So for the controls lesson, okay, he'll explain to you that you have already seen his license. Okay, because sometimes that can be a bit of an issue. When you meet someone for the first time, you usually want to see the license, but in the game of part 3, you've already seen his license and it's all fine, it's all legit and up to date. Okay, but he's here for his first driving lesson. Okay, and you were recommended by one of his friends. He's lived in the city centre and now he's actually moved out to the town, and it's time for him to start driving. Yeah, because the bus service is rubbish, and he wants to learn to drive because he's having to commute back and forth and he's fed up with getting a bus. And it was fine when he was in the centre of town, but now that he's not in the centre of town, things get a bit more of a problem, so he's decided to learn how to drive. So that's something on the lines of what he's going to say. Or it could be that he's just turned 17 and he's desperate to get going, something like that. You know, he gives you a wee bit of a background knowledge. Okay, so that then allows you to gauge what kind of character he's going to be. Yeah, so if he's just turned 17, then he might be a bit of a problematic character. So it gives you something more to deal with. Okay, so listening to the examiner's little brief is quite important, because there are a lot of clues in that. And how to deal with them basically. Yeah, there's a lot of clues on what kind of character he's going to be, because that's something you've got to get your head round, is that he is playing a character. Yeah, this is where the game kind of comes in. It's a game that you're playing. He's pretending to be this 17-year-old kid, and he's not. Yeah, but you have to see him as that. Very, very important that you see him as a learner driver. So as much as he goes into character, you've got to go into character, because you're the best instructor. Okay, you've got to pretend that you're the best instructor, that you know exactly what you're talking about, and you're right up to date with all the latest teaching trends, and you're much better than his other instructor, or if it's his first one, you've been recommended by him. Okay, so that's the little brief. You've been recommended by one of his friends. It's his first driving lesson. You've spoke on the phone and you've arranged to meet up today. Okay, and he'll give you a name. Yeah, so usually the examiner will give his first name. Okay, so if it's Ewan Nicholson, then he's going to say, just call me Ewan. Yeah, and for the phase 2 they change it, but that'll come at a later stage. Okay, so we're going to look at the personal greeting, the aims and objectives, and the plan of action for the controls lesson. And I'm going to play a bit of a dual role. So I'm going to pretend to be the examiner or the learner and the instructor. Okay, so I'm going to play the two roles, and you can see the difference. I'll try and make out the difference between when I'm playing the instructor and when I'm playing the learner, and hopefully you'll distinguish between the two. Okay, So I'm going to start to go into roll, okay, and I'm going to kick things off by introducing myself, okay. Hello there, it's John, isn't it? Yeah, it's John, yeah. Nice to meet you, John. My name's Innes. Is it okay if I call you John? Yeah, that's fine, yeah, not a problem, yeah, just call me John. Okay, excellent. Right then, John, so I believe this is your first driving lesson. Yeah, this is my first driving lesson, yeah, I'm quite excited actually. Oh, that's good. I'm glad you're excited. It's good that you're not too nervous. Well, I'm a wee bit nervous, but I'm more excited than I am nervous. Okay, well that's good. That's good. Excellent. It's good to hear that. Well, since it's your first driving lesson, what we're going to do today is go through the basic controls of the car. Okay. So there's a few things that come along with that. Okay. We're going to actually drive to a training area where we can go through the exercises that we need to go through. So as I drive to the training area, what we're going to do is I'm going to have a wee commentary on my steering. Okay, so the steering wheel here is the only control that we can't use whilst the car is stationary. Okay, so when we swap over, you can use and demonstrate all the controls except for the steering wheel, because we can't use that unless the car is moving. So I'm going to give you a wee demonstration on that basically. Once we get to the training area, we will discuss how to leave and also enter the car safely. Okay, because we'll have to swap seats. Okay, so we chat about that once we get there, and we'll swap seats. And when we do swap seats, we're going to go through the basic cockpit drill. Okay, and I'm going to go through that myself in a second, so it gives you an idea of what we're going to do. And then once we go through the cockpit drill, we're going to explain to you all the purpose and location of the main feet and hand controls. Okay, so hopefully by the end of the lesson you'll be familiar on how to leave and enter the car. You'll be familiar with your cockpit drill, and you'll also be familiar with the purpose and location of the main foot and hand controls. Okay, how does that sound to you? Oh, that sounds great. Excellent. Right then, so first thing, what we want to do is I'm going to go through my cockpit drill, and just gives you an idea of what I want you to do. So if you keep an eye on me, I'm just going to explain a little bit what I'm going to do. Okay, so the first thing is I've got to check the doors are closed. So I've got a wee tag like that, check the door, and you can check that one as well. So that's closed as well. And we can also see in the mirrors down the side of the car that the doors are closed as well. And then we've got our seat, and there's three bits to the seat. We've got the base of the seat, so we adjust that to make sure we can use the pedals correctly. And we're going to go through this in a bit more detail when we swap over, okay? But just to give you an idea. So we've got the base of the seat, we've got the upright of the seat, and this goes back and forth, okay? And then we've got the height of the seat, okay? So that comes up a little bit to, again, get a nice height. So you've got the seat, the base, and then the upright and the steering. And the steering wheel can move as well. There's a wee clip just under here that you pull out, and the steering wheel can move up and down and in and out. So you get it to a place that you're happy with, click it into place, and your wrist should sit just at the very top of the steering wheel there, okay? And I'll just turn around so you can see it a bit more. Okay, so wrists will sit on the top there. Okay, excellent. So base, upright, seat, steering, okay, head restraint, seat belt, okay, and you can put your seat belt on as well, okay. So again, with your seat belt,